Hello, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I'm going to talk about a beautiful painting by one of my favorite artists. The painting is Houses of Parliament, The Effect of Fog by Claude Monet. I'm going to discuss the details of his work, such as its style, content, and the context of which it was created. And I will also discuss the artist's life, such as what influenced him in the creation of this painting. So let's get started. So this presentation is going to be broken up into 6 sections. So first we are going to talk about the work, then the style of the work, the content, the artist, the historical context of in which the work was created, and then the influences on the artist. So let's first specifically talk about the work. The work is a oil painting on canvas. It was completed in 1903. It's about 32 inches by 36 inches big, so a pretty decent sized painting. It is currently displayed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and it is a part of a series with 18 other works. So that's why it is called Houses of Parliament, The Effect of Fog, specifically because the entire series is called Houses of Parliament, but this specific painting is The Effect of Fog. That's what distinguishes it from the other paintings in the series. So to give you a better understanding of the work, I'm going to tell you about what the painting is actually depicting. So this picture right here is showing the Houses of Parliament in London. So this is what the painter was looking at while he was painting Houses of Parliament, The Effect of Fog. Obviously, the weather in the painting is a bit different, but you get the point. So this next picture shows the Houses of Parliament, The Effect of Fog painting displayed in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, along with 3 other paintings by the same artist, Claude Monet. So next we are going to discuss the specific style of the painting. The style of this painting is Impressionism. And Impressionism was an art movement that began in the late 1800s, specifically among Parisian painters. It moved away from traditional styles and subject matter, specifically neoclassical art styles. Impressionist painters sought to create works that reflected the modern world that they lived in, especially everyday real life scenes, rather than creating paintings depicting historical or romantic scenes, which was common in neoclassical art. These artists differed from traditional artists because they used color and broad brushstrokes to create figures and depth in their paintings. For these artists, it was less about how realistic they could make their paintings and more about capturing the moment and drawing emotions from their viewers. Claude Monet specifically focused on trying to capture fleeting moments of light, which is why a lot of his paintings are in nature and are plein air paintings. In fact, the painting shown here is another one by Claude Monet called Sunrise. And in this painting, Monet is trying to capture a moment of the sunrise. And we know that sunrises do not last forever. They are very quick to come and go. So what he's doing in this painting is he's trying to capture this specific moment in time where the sun is reflecting off of the water, where the sky is a mixture of blue and yellow and orange. This moment will never be duplicated again. This is the only time that the sky and the water will ever look like this. Monet knew this, so rather than trying to focus on extreme details in the painting, he tries to pull the viewer into the moment that he experienced. He's trying to use the colors and the light, the reflections, to pull an emotional response out of the viewer rather than trying to show off his skill or certain details in the painting. If you see the boats in the background, they're very roughly painted And the man in the boat on the water is also very roughly painted. There's not extreme detail in them, but that's not the point. The reason why this is called Impressionism is because he simply wants to give an impression of details in the scene. What he's more focused on is the color and the light to pull certain emotions from the viewers. In the next few slides, I'm going to show you how Claude Monet uses the guiding principles of Impressionism in his Houses of Parliament series. As we go through these different slides, I want you to see how he focuses less on making certain details pop from the Houses of Parliament buildings and architecture, and more about how the colors of the sky reflect on the water, or how the fog kind of clouds up the scenes. For example, in this specific painting in the series, the scene is very colorful, and he simply uses blue, dark blue, to create the Houses of Parliament, and instead he's emphasizing the sky, the colors of the sky, and how they reflect on the water, and it is a beautiful, beautiful depiction of a sunset. And as we go through all of these paintings, I want you to pay special attention to how different the scenes are and the different emotional responses that you get from these scenes. So the first one was very colorful, but the one after that was very foggy, more blue instead of warm tones. And these are the different moments that Monet was trying to capture. The reason why he did different moments is because he knows that each moment is unique, and he felt different in every single one of those scenes. And he's trying to create the same experience that he felt for his viewers through these paintings. Now let's talk about the content of the painting. So, what is content? Content of a work of art refers to the intellectual or emotional message that the artist is trying to convey through the painting. Content is not just describing the subject matter or what is in the painting. For example, when looking at Houses of Parliament, you're not going to just start talking about how the building looks or the way he uses color. You're not going to talk about that. Content is more about the intellectual, emotional message that it communicates, not the physical appearance. So now that we know what content is, what is Monet trying to communicate through this content? Well, we know that Monet strives to capture fleeting moments of light, but he also, along with this fleeting light, tried to convey the fleeting and temporary feelings and sensations of the moment he painted. With the Houses of Parliament series and his other series in London, Monet wanted to capture and convey the act of seeing nature, as if looking at his painting was like being present in the real moment. In order to see how content can differ through different styles, let's look at these two paintings. So the first one of the man is a neoclassical style painting, and as you can see, its attention to detail and form and contour is greater than Monet's painting. It's trying to make the man look more realistic, and it's not trying to pull a certain emotion out of the viewers. However, Monet's painting may not pay as much attention to realistic details, but he is focused more on trying to pull certain emotions and have a certain reaction from his viewers. So in his painting, Houses of Parliament, The Effect of Fog, Monet is trying to get his viewer to hear the flow and trickle of water, and hear the birds in the air, and to feel the calm peacefulness of the sunset and the fog. Now, let's talk about the artist. The artist is Claude Monet, as we've already established, who was born November 14th, 1840 in Paris, France, and he died of lung cancer December 5th, 1926 in Giverny at the age of 86. Monet grew up on the coast of Normandy and was known as a caricaturist even as a teenager until Eugene Boudin exposed him to plein air painting. Eventually, Monet went to an informal art school despite his parents' wishes. He and a few Impressionist-style painters from this school put on an independent exhibit after their art was rejected many times by formal exhibits because they didn't like the style of their paintings. His painting Impression Sunrise that he painted in 1873 received a lot of criticism. This was the painting that I showed earlier of the ships in the background, the sun reflecting on the water, and the man in the boat. This exhibit failed greatly because painters were, liked traditional styles, more neoclassical style paintings, and they did not like the way that Impressionists painted. They did not like their lack of detail. Even though this exhibit failed, the artists actually took this criticism as an honor for going against the status quo and called themselves the Impressionists. Monet eventually moved to London to escape the Franco-Prussian War, and then to Giverny, where many of his paintings were completed. We've already dabbled a little bit in the historical context, so let's just quickly hit some key points. Understanding the art culture at the time of Monet's career helps explain certain points of his career. Of course, we know that neoclassical art was popular at the time, and Impressionism went against the principles of that style, which is why Monet and his friends, who were Impressionist-style painters, received a lot of backlash for their art initially. It is also important to note that Monet fled to London to avoid fighting the Franco-Prussian War, and because he fled to London, he was able to produce the Houses of Parliament series and two other series that depicted scenes from London. And finally, let's discuss the influences on Monet in the Houses of Parliament. The first big influence was his studies. After being exposed to plein air painting by Eugene Boudin, he studied informally under a Dutch landscapist and later joined the Paris studio of Charles Glier, who was an academic history painter. His classmates would also become future Impressionist painters and put on their own Impressionist exhibits. And of course, we know that rejection was a big part of Monet's career and influences. Monet entered his art to be chosen for exhibits in Paris, but he was usually rejected. He took this, however, as an honor rather than a hindrance. His surroundings were another big influence on his art. The subjects of Monet's paintings were usually his immediate surroundings. He painted places and people he knew well. Houses of Parliament was painted after he moved to London to flee the Prussian War. Monet also followed the way Barbizon painters got their landscapes from plein air. Barbizon painters would sketch in plein air and make the real piece in their studios. However, Monet painted directly from plein air and then would come back to his studio to finish them. And finally, real life was a big influence on his art. Before Monet started painting in the Impressionist style, he was inspired to capture modern moments in real life rather than historical or romantic scenes. We can see this desire reflected in his painting. And now, my friends, we are at the conclusion of this video, but before we leave each other, I would like to leave you with some key points to remember about Claude Monet and the Houses of Parliament, the effect of fog painting. So, we must remember that Claude Monet is known as one of the key leaders in the Impressionist movement. Know that Impressionism uses bold and colorful brushstrokes to create impressions of figures, forms, and contours rather than the precise lines and shading of neoclassical art. We also talked about how Monet's art focused on capturing fleeting moments of light and reflecting modern scenes in real life rather than depicting historical or romantic scenes. His painting, Houses of Parliament, The Effect of Fog, is a painting that reflects Monet's desire to capture beautiful moments of light. This painting is a part of a larger series that captures separate moments of the same scene where the lighting is drastically different. In fact, I'm going to end this video by showing you a few paintings from his Houses of Parliament series. Thank you so much for watching.